Incumbent Governor Pritzker and candidate Darren Bailey don't agree on much. That's been very clear. But could there be a middle ground in Illinois politics? And is that what voters want? Collin Corbett is betting on it, launching an independent bid for governor. After splitting with the GOP over its direction, Corbett is pitching a moderate, solutions-oriented approach. His name may not be familiar to you because he's usually working behind the scenes, but he is a former Republican strategist, and he has criticized both Pritzker and Bailey for engaging in a two-party circus. He says he represents the common sense majority, and he's here with me tonight to share more about his platform and how he differs with the front runners. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me on.
What was your exact breaking point with the Illinois GOP?
You know, it was building over years, but I've spoken out about it was my frustration with immigration enforcement and especially sending troops into our city of Chicago, terrorizing entire communities. You know, there are better ways to do that if you agree with that position, but mistreating people just because of the color of their skin, I didn't recognize my party anymore at that point, and I couldn't stand for it. But I also saw plenty of frustrations with the other party, and that's what opened my eyes to realize there's good people on both sides. It's the system itself that is broken. We're stuck in the system that pits sides against each other, and our founding fathers never wanted that. They warned us against political parties. But because we're in this system now, we're supposed to hate each other. And who ends up getting hurt? It's the working families who nobody's thinking about them and actually solving their problems.
People will hear you, but then also know that you were a former strategist and wonder, is this just strategy? Or is this the real thing? I mean, some people have talked about, and these are critics, but they have said maybe you're in it to take away some of Darren Bailey's suburban votes especially, and hand Pritzker an easy win. What's your response to that?
If J.B. Pritzker was going to pick somebody to do that, he wouldn't pick me. I was one of his fiercest critics for years, well before running for office, and was recognized as such. And I'm not looking to take any of Darren Bailey's votes. As a matter of fact, if you look back to the primary, the total number of votes that he got in the primary was 4% of registered voters. So he can keep his 4%. I'm going for the other 96%. But this is a long-term effort. I've paid a tremendous price to do this, both personally and professionally. I've lost friends, lost clients. The cost of this should prove to people that I'm serious about this, that it's about giving an alternative to voters, yes, this November, but also long-term. We're building something bigger than just one election because the middle deserves representation. We need something that gives mainstream people a home again because they're watching these two parties do this and going, I don't have a home anymore.
A lot of people do feel that way. What are your specific plans? Let's go over a few different things. Let's start with your top 3 issues you want to tackle in Illinois that you feel neither party is prioritizing right now.
I mean, we've got to make life more affordable for working families. And as you talked about just before me coming on, it seems like these candidates just want to call each other names and attack each other instead of focusing on how do we make life more affordable. People can't afford their gas, their groceries, their electricity bills are out of control. Property taxes, and the governor keeps saying that's not his job, that's not his fault, but you could do something to help people. We've got to make life more affordable. We've got to get the state growing again so we can create jobs and raise people's wages, and nobody's talking about that. And we've got to reform our broken system in the state. As an independent, I can tell you I've faced it personally, how broken our political system is and how it's just not working for people. And so we've got long plans that we've been putting out because the difference in our campaign compared to our opponents is we're actually putting out plans. Here's how you make things better. The platitudes, the one-sentence post on social media, that doesn't fix anything. We're actually providing solutions.
When you say how and a solution, do you believe the state's current evidence-based funding formula is fair or even successful to all school districts, or does it need an overhaul? And should Springfield be the pinpoint place where that overhaul comes in, if you believe that?
Yeah, Springfield has more work to do on education funding. I have worked with some of the lowest funded school districts in this state, and I've seen how they do so much to make what little they get, make it work. But if the state was actually doing its job and fully funding education, those kids could have the education that they deserve. No kid's education should be held back because they happen to be born in the wrong zip code. We have got to do a better job of the state making sure that all of our districts are better funded. And over the last 3 to 4 years, we've we've actually seen that under EBF, the state is not putting enough funding into that. And so we actually have districts now falling further behind, even with EBF put in place. So I have put out an extensive plan on how can we fully fund education in the state. It's going to take us a decade to do it, but I'm signed up for the hard work to make that happen.
And where do you stand on regulating the massive energy consumption and local expansion of data centers? It's been a huge issue that really government at all levels has had to tackle. So across Illinois, do you think a moratorium is too far, or where do you stand on this?
Yeah, I was frustrated for years as J.B. Pritzker gave these data centers nearly $1 billion in tax incentives with no protections for local families, for our energy bills, for our water usage, for the environment. My wife and I, we've got a 2-year-old boy, we've got another baby on the way. I want to know we're going to pass them a world that they could enjoy because we have this gift. And so I believe you need to put those regulations in place. As a matter of fact, this week I've been talking about exclusively. So people could see on our social media, we've got a plan for what regulations need to go in place. Until that's done, we shouldn't be giving out any more tax incentives. But with those regulations, we can make sure we're protecting people and not raising their energy rates, burning through too much water, hurting our environment. There is a path forward, but unfortunately under the current governor, it hasn't seemed to happen.
We've talked a lot about the Bears today, pretty much exclusively. So with the Bears heavily eyeing a move to Hammond, Indiana, how would you have handled negotiations? Or let's say you are the governor right now and there is a possibility that you could save it. How do you save the Bears from going over the state line?
Ask anybody who's involved in Springfield in government or in politics. They'll tell you there aren't actually conversations going on right now between Pritzker and the Bears. They're all giving it lip service, but the reality is the governor of this state has the power to say, I'm going to solve this problem. And if I was governor, that's what you'd see. I'd say, we're going to get the stakeholders around the table and we're going to figure this out. And you know what? Nobody leaves the table until we figure this out, because this is the pride and joy of Illinois. They're the Chicago Bears. How the heck are we allowing them to even flirt with Indiana, let alone move to Indiana? I'm sick of losing to Indiana. I'm done with it. Let's keep the Bears here. And you know what? We haven't seen that leadership from Governor Pritzker. But I can tell you, I live 5 minutes from the Arlington Park site. My wife and I got married at Arlington Park. That site is personal to us. We've got to make sure that we get the Bears staying in Illinois over there to Arlington Park, because it's going to help everyone throughout the region, personally and economically. We can get this done without giving tax breaks to billionaires. There is a path to do it.
And because you talked about everyone coming to the table, if you're an independent, how do you make that happen with no party caucus?
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend that we don't face significant obstacles because I don't have that party apparatus. But should I win, that's where the benefit comes in, because without a party apparatus, I don't have to answer to any special interests, any party bosses. I can take the best idea. And in the companies that I have built, that's always been the rule. Best idea wins. I have a whole division of my company that exists because an intern had a good idea one day, and we built a whole department around it. If I'm governor, I'm able to work with Democrats, Republicans, and everybody everywhere in between to say, whoever's got a good idea, let's work together and make it happen. And I've been doing that in this campaign. I've promoted great ideas by far-left Democrats, moderate Democrats, conservative Republicans, moderate Republicans. I don't care where it comes from. Let's just work together to help working families.
Collin, Corbett, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll see you again soon.